The Skyworth Q6600G is a budget-friendly 4K QLED TV that is developed locally in South Africa. Skyworth sent over this TV for me to test out back in December, and I was originally only going to do a written review of the unit on my website. However, looking online for some information on the TV, I noticed that there's barely any videos of the TV to watch. There are a few so-called reviews, but many of them are just the TV's webpage being read out loud without anybody testing any of the features. So at least I was able to cover a cool local Skyworth TV for you guys to check out. Now we just need to get TCL on board, and honestly I have no idea what they're up to. So here's a quick review of the Skyworth Q66. This is the 65-inch model. The Skyworth Q66 comes in a 43, 50, 55, 65-inch and 75-inch panel. The TV is made for users who want a 4K TV but aren't looking at throwing money at big features. If anything, the Skyworth TV is the most humble display I have reviewed in a long time because it has a subtle feature list and an asking price of only 11,000 Rand. Are there better TVs on the market for the same price? Probably, but we'll tackle that in a bit. The Skyworth Q66 comes in a full print box. I haven't seen a full color TV box in a long time. It looks pretty good. Setting up the TV was a breeze. The box unclips at the bottom. The top lid opens up to reveal the legs and a bag including the remote, screws, battery and power cable. I was then able to install the legs myself thanks to my long arms. I pulled the TV out of the box, laid it flat on my TV stand, removed the plastic and screwed in the legs. The legs are attached with 2 screws and there's nothing else to it. When standing on the TV stand, the legs sit at 122 centimeters apart from one another. There are 27 centimeters in length from front to back. The TV then sits 7 centimeters off the stand. The 7 centimeters is measured from the stand to the sensor under the display. The TV looks quite decent. The silver legs are likely my favorite part of the entire design. They are a little different from the usual black legs that you get in almost every TV box. There's a silver strip at the bottom of the TV that adds a bit more style to the panel. It is plastic but looks shiny and clean. The logo is in the middle of the display and the rest of the front of the display is made up of thin bezels. The bezels on this TV are quite thin at only 0.6 centimeters. At the back, the TV includes quite a large base. The bottom of the TV is much thicker at 9.5 centimeters. However, at the top of the TV, it is much thinner at only 6.5 centimeters. So if you're mounting the TV, the larger, thicker base is where the mount will be installed. Keep in mind that that won't be centered in the TV and more to the bottom of the back side. So you'll need to accommodate the difference if you're replacing an existing TV on your current mount. If you are putting this TV on your existing mount, this TV will sit higher than your current model due to the VESA mount being situated at the bottom of the TV. When it comes to the ports, the Skyworth 65Q66 includes 3 HDMI 2.0 ports, 2 USB 2.0 ports, Ethernet capped at 100 MB per second, optical audio out, 1 antenna interface, an AV in combo port and 1 aux cable out. It is all powered by one figure 8 power cable. All the ports are on the left hand side of the TV while the power cable is on the right. There's no cable management clips or trunking on this TV at all. You'll need to neaten this up by yourself somehow. I do feel like a tiny plastic clip at the back of the legs would have really helped here to keep your cables neat. The TV is generally quite clean and sleek. It looks good once installed and I have no complaints. It is a bit on the fatter side of TVs that I have tested out. The panel also has very little wobble to it and the general structure and design is quite sturdy. Before we get onto the panel and performance, the TV comes with Google TV installed. The remote is your standard Google TV remote. It includes a voice button and some shortcuts for YouTube and Netflix. There's also an additional shortcut button that you can assign to whatever app you want. It is quite handy. Not only is there a single press function, but you can also assign it to work with additional shortcuts by holding down the button and pressing any of the D-pad buttons. So essentially there are an extra 4 shortcuts that you can assign to the whole remote outside of the single press one. Google TV on the Q66 is okay. It does get sluggish at times. For example, when opening up the settings during video playback on YouTube, it took a few moments for the settings panel to appear. It was also annoying to have the menu kick me out of the tab each time I tweaked something. So I would change the gamma from bright to middle and it would take me out of the tab as a result. Most TV users often toggle settings on and off constantly to see the best results, and this does get in the way of quickly previewing the change. I also felt like the general performance was just too slow for my navigation. I would often be moving ahead of the typing input and pressing buttons while the TV was trying to catch up with my actions. Even moving around the home page can feel slow and unresponsive. I even had times when my YouTube videos would simply freeze. These were 4K HDR videos, so I'm not sure if they were just too much for the TV to handle or what. It wasn't a buffering issue because the timer kept counting. I no doubt had to practice a bit of patience when making use of the built-in operating system on this TV. The Google TV experience does have all the settings that you'll look for on the TV, even though naming gamma as middle, dark and bright doesn't really give you an understanding on what the TV's actual value is sitting on. Gamma isn't the only strange naming convention that I spotted though. MPEG noise reduction is called MPEG-NR. There's also a setting called DNR, which is digital noise reduction. Luma control is then the contrast adjustment. These names aren't wrong by any means, but it's just strange to see them referred to this way. Google TV of course does let you install whatever apps you want, so there's an incredible amount of freedom here to do whatever you want to do. You can install Kodi and other media apps. If you want to make use of other media players, you can also install them here too. Performance on the Skyworth Q66 was generally good for a TV with this specification. HDR content looked bright and vivid especially. There's no local dimming on this TV at all, so the backlight remains enabled even if this TV has nothing to display on it. While there's no local dimming, I was impressed by the contrast ratio on this panel. It resulted in some decent black levels which complement the high dynamic range peaks. Specular highlights were also quite good. Once I calibrated the panel, HDR content was bright with specular highlights popping. I measured 471 nits in a 25% window, which is quite good for this TV. It wasn't remotely bad at all, and I can't even say I was the slightest disappointed by the black levels and HDR content on this display. Even the panel itself was super clean, cleaner than most of the more expensive TVs that I've reviewed. There's next to no backlight bleed on the edges of the panel, and the grey uniformity was quite incredible. Even near the corners of the panel where most TV displays are the worst with panel flaws, this Skyworth Q66 was clean. It was quite remarkable, especially from a TV that costs only 11,000 Rand. Again, we're looking at a TV that costs just 11,000 Rand. To have this level of HDR, contrast and a panel this clean is rarely found in TVs double the price, so much respect to Skyworth here. The TV performed quite well across all my tests. Gaming was limited to 4K 60Hz without VRR, but it was still enjoyable and looked quite nice. I did have to lower the sharpness on the HDMI input while gaming because out of the box it was overly sharp. General content watching was also good. Dolby Vision and HDR content is obviously the way you want to experience the TV, and I don't think you'll be disappointed. Skyworth does include this anti-blue light tech on the TV which is meant to help with eye care. There's no real way to test this, but if it is a selling point for you and you think that your eyes are going to benefit from having anti-blue light LEDs at the back, then it's available on this TV. From a sound perspective, the Skyworth Q66 doesn't have any real killer speakers. They are pretty basic TV speakers and you'll likely want to get a soundbar if you appreciate your music and content. The TV speakers are just weak and lack any real kick. Lastly, for the viewing angles and the panel, Skyworth says this TV includes a matte screen pro. While the panel is definitely matte and not shiny, it doesn't mean there's no reflection. The panel is quite reflective still, but it does a good job of cleaning up the image. Is this panel as reflective free as other matte TVs? Definitely not, but it is cool to see a matte TV again at this price range. Viewing angles on the TV are also quite good. The panel holds up quite well until around the 50-degree mark when you start losing clarity and color. However, even then, the image does remain detailed and colorful. There's also very little ghosting because there's no local dimming to cause bloom. It makes the TV a good option for wide viewing spaces. I think the fact that the Skyworth TV is just 11,000 Rand for the 65-inch model is pretty impressive. Granted, it is not perfect. The Google TV experience especially isn't up to standard. I would go as far as to use an additional Google TV box on this TV just so I don't have to deal with the sluggish menus. However, outside of the Google TV problem, I was actually surprised at how well this TV performed. It's a relatively feature-packed TV with some great picture quality. Again, comparing apples with apples in this case. The closest competition for this TV is likely the Hisense E7N Pro. That TV does have local dimming, so you might get better black levels. However, that does come with bloom and all the problems of local dimming too. The Hisense U6N Pro is also a tough competitor here. It does have better brightness and local dimming. It is slightly more expensive though. You can check out my Hisense U6N Pro review on the channel while you're at it. I can't tell you the amount of times I've walked past the Skyworth TV in a store and thought to myself, I wonder what their TV's like. But at least I know now, and I honestly won't sleep on the brand anymore. I don't think that this is the best TV on the market, and I don't think it's the brightest, most feature-packed TV you can buy, but for 11,000 Rand, this is a good 65-inch TV, especially for those who don't want 4K 120Hz gaming and just want like a good bright TV with decent HDR. With all that being said, I do wonder how Skyworth's more expensive TVs hold up. But as always, thanks for watching, and please do consider liking and subscribing for future content like this. Also visit glitch.online for more gaming tech news and reviews, and until next time, farewell.